people say to me, well, couldn't you have been a person of complete surrender and stayed in Christianity without taking on Islam? And the answer to that question, well, there's several answers to that question. One is, yes, of course. You know, the path of surrender is right there in Christianity. It's not obscured by anything. It's there. So, yes, that certainly was a possibility. But apparently, I need Islam. And my experiences since I've become a Muslim confirm that on a daily basis, that I personally, Anne Reddick, need to be a Muslim. The metaphor I like to use is that of glasses. Some people don't need glasses, some people need single lenses, and I need bifocals. And that seems to be the way it is for me. But I am not in the business of passing around this prescription. I didn't draw it up. And I am not the one in charge of handing out prescriptions. Not everybody gets that, you know. People on both sides of the Muslim-Christian divide, you know, very concerned about my salvation which I also appreciate, because I get by, I think, on the vibes of the prayers of my friends. They're, you know, it's wonderful. But I really treasure those moments when people do get it. I was introduced to an imam, a leader in my Muslim community, the community that has become mine. And this is the first time I'd gone to Friday prayers, and I was introduced to the imam who had given the khutbah, the talk, that Friday. And my friend, the woman to whom I'd run with the confession, introduced me as someone who was an Episcopal priest and a new Muslim, and I expected the imam to kind of, you know, pull back, and he didn't. He said, "We've needed an inside woman." I said, an inside woman on both sides. And he said, "Yes, that's exactly what we need." So I've come to think of myself as giving, you know, field reports from the inside woman on both sides, you know, from the insides of the inside woman on both sides. And what I can report so far is that there's this very lively relationship going on inside me all the time between my inner Christian and my inner Muslim. And sometimes it's a very lively dialogue, and sometimes it's very quiet. There's a lot of standing in wonder at those moments when I will be in Friday prayers and hear an imam speak with tears in his voice about who taught them Islam when someone in the name of Islam has done violence to other humans. I treasure those moments when a Christian friend will tell me, "Oh, we went on a pilgrimage to it was then the Soviet Union, and we smuggled in Qurans because we heard that Muslims couldn't get Qurans. Muslims in the Soviet Union couldn't get Qurans." And I've waited to tell this story for years. There's a lot of wonder that goes on in this relationship. My inner Muslim and my inner Christian hold each other accountable because they share the space of this body of mine. They hold each other accountable and themselves accountable to explore and dig into the depths and the riches of their respective and the traditions that they share, to find those places of convergence, to find those places of deep relationship. The other piece, of course, is that they have to take each other by the hand and go back to those places where the forces of politics and social injustice and economic privilege, racial conflict, all of that, those places where the relationship has been cracked, or the relationship has been fractured. The fear that we feel and see in the world, the hysterical, what look like hysterical reactions to, the building of mosques, that most of us in this room would say, what? Why? We have to understand, and this coexistence inside me bears witness to the reality that we have a troubled history. We have a troubled history among the religions. And one of the necessary steps is gaining that appreciative understanding of our various traditions, to understand what's in the religion. And another necessary part has to do with figuring out where those breakpoints are. And when we've built our relationship strong enough to go to those points and be able to heal those fractures. And that's the work that I hope that I can do, because, and I'll end with this, I believe that this experience was given to me so that I can continue my work as a priest. And what's a priest? A priest is someone who I call a demonstration project. Not only am I a laboratory, but I'm a laboratory with windows that are open to the world. So people get to watch what this looks like. And it's kind of messy and not, on any given day, it's not going to look all that pretty. But I am determined to let this experiment bear witness that we can not only live together in the world, coexist, but that we can thrive together. In fact, it may not just be necessary for our survival on this planet, but our having these relationships may mean this incredible blossoming of humanity in a way that we can't even imagine now. But we're doing the work. We're doing the work. And I thank God for that. And I thank God for you, for having such wonderful, beautiful fellow travelers. Thank you. Al-Fatiha, which is the opening, the first chapter of the Quran, and is for people who observe traditional Islamic prayer in its most widely practiced form, which is 5 times a day, 5 rounds of prayer a day. We recite Al-Fatiha, and that means 17 times a day at least, so it's become part of my fabric. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Amen. In the name of God, most gracious, giver of grace. All praise to God, the sustainer of all worlds, the most gracious, the giver of grace, the master of the day of judgment. To you we give service and worship, and to you, from you we seek help. Keep us on the direct path, the path of those who have found favor, not the path of those who have embodied wrath, nor those who have gone astray. And I'll do one other. I'll do a Christian song. A Christian song?
Yes. She's a wonderful singer, by the way.
This is I grew up on spirituals. My mother used to sing us to sleep with spirituals, so I'll sing a spiritual, and well, you'll hear how spirituals are